It is 599 days to the presidential election. Mark your calendars. And we've already got 11 officially declared major Democratic candidates, with potentially more to come, including A-listers like Joe Biden and Stacey Abrams. Here to talk about what the field looks like now and what it could look like on Election Day, Democratic pollster and strategist Cornell Belcher and Aisha Moody Mills, a Democratic strategist and a fellow at the Harvard University Institute of Politics. You have to say it like that, Harvard. You're supposed to. All right, let's go to Cornell first. Cornell, this field is so big and probably will get bigger. Is there anything like a front runner now, and what happens to it if Biden and or Harris get in?
No, I don't think you have a front runner, even with Biden getting in. Joy, if you look at the Iowa registry poll, and the headline was Biden leads, but Biden was only ahead of the pack by 2 points. That's not really a lead. I think you have a race right now that looks a lot more like 2004 than it did like 2008 or in 2016. And why I say that is you have a crowded field of a lot of what I think a lot of A-listers. And like 2004, when you had Lieberman and Gephardt and Kerry and even Wesley Clark in there, you had a lot of candidates all bunched around 15, 16, 17 percentage points in the national polls. And I think you're going to have the same sort of thing here right now. I think the candidate who's probably that outsider candidate who can show some electability, I like their chances, although the dynamics of this race haven't unfolded, and I don't think we've seen anything quite like this in modern times. You know,
and meanwhile, Aisha, you have Beto O'Rourke come in with all this buzz and like a glossy Vanity Fair cover. The Democratic Party has tended to like the idea of a Southern white male candidate who's sort of kind of young, on the younger hip side. Does he have a natural advantage, even though he doesn't necessarily have a natural platform other than anti the wall?
I don't know if I'd call it an advantage so much as the fact that, like, Joy, we have to acknowledge that the man is electrifying, right? He speaks in a way where he's got a lot of energy. People listen to what he has to say. They don't necessarily go deep yet to figure out what his experience is. And I think that matters. I think people want to be excited by the candidate. They want to feel like somebody is speaking to them and is magnetic, and Beto does that for them. It remains to be seen, though, when all these candidates are on the stage. I think that there are several of them that are really great orators that have a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. And so I think that we're going to start to see that energy is what matters to people. People want someone who can stand up next to Trump, look better than him, kind of fight more aggressively than him. And I think Beto gives us that energy.
And, at the same time, so Cornell, you now have sort of the battle of the white guys, right, which is a Beto, Biden, and Bernie. And you could say some of the others like Inslee. But then you potentially might have 3 African-American candidates. If Stacey Abrams were to get in, you would then have herself, Cory Booker, and Kamala Harris. What does that do to a race like South Carolina?
I think it means it's a wide open race, and I think it's a wide open race either way. Because look, I think if you look back at past histories here, I think, and I have to beat up a lot of reporters about this because they think just the African American voters are going to naturally vote for the African American candidate, which is just not true in the history of our primaries, or we would have had a Democratic nominee before Barack Obama. And you'll remember, Joey, Barack Obama started out 20 points behind in South Carolina to Hillary Clinton. I think all his candidates are going to have to work hard for it. I will say this. I think it gives the white candidates even a greater opportunity to compete there, especially if the African-American candidates are splitting the vote. So you could have a white candidate who can carry 25, 30% of the black vote in South Carolina and cobble together a plurality of the white vote and win South Carolina solidly. That's what I think this crowded field means.
And that's a very fair point. But, at the same time, the South, it just happens to be, it was the place where Bernie Sanders sort of seeded the election because he couldn't do well with black voters. We know black voters are extremely important. And so, Aisha, when you talk about Super Tuesday, about half those primaries in Super Tuesday, take out Texas and California, are in the South. So is there any candidate who you can look at right now and say that's the kind of candidate who could sweep a Super Tuesday or at least get, 3 or 4 primaries on that night?
So my opinion about Stacey Abrams getting into this race is I think that she does best with Super Tuesday, with South Carolina, with the African-American vote, largely because she was the one who was down there stimulating and exciting people in the region most recently. So I think that she kind of gets that vote right now for me. In terms of who can sweep, I agree with Cornell. I think that, I don't rule out Biden just because there are enough people who are trying to cobble together and now competing for those African-American voters in that region that it might leave a plurality where, you know, put those white folks together and they might go for him, they might go for Beto. But I'm not a pollster, so I leave it to my dear friend to give us kind of the expert advice.
Right.
My gut, though, tells me is that it is so early, we are going to be surprised come next February.
All right, well, yes or no question for Cornel Belcher. Does Julian and Beto cancel each other out in Texas?
No, they don't cancel each other out. But I will say this real quickly, Joy, that whoever we've known as the front runner historically has not done well in our primary. So look out for a dark horse.
All right, there we go. That was not one word. Cornel Belcher and Aisha Moody Mills, thank you guys very much.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.